know you have an ongoing feud with Ryan.
Who?
You know that guy. What's it gonna take for him to actually be BFFs with you?
Well, I mean, in truth, there was a time in which we were.
Any
And,
words for Ryan, seeing as the next time we talk to him,
I have
he will be
nothing to
seeing
say-
that.
I have nothing to say to him.
My worst qualities is that.
Oh, come on, do the best. He's loyal, he's kind, he's smart, he's funny, he's very, very intense. He's harder on himself than anyone else could be. I ran out of hands.
Me and Gina encountered a rude celebrity once, and we don't want to say who it is.
While Sammy was trying to cover up the celebrity, Dina let it all out by revealing they were referring to Ryan Reynolds. But with this, Dina wanted to play it cool by adding, "He was not great to us. I love Ryan Reynolds and I love Blake Lively, and he didn't want to be by us."
I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star, and this human being was being so insecure and angry because this person couldn't get the scenes out. And I think I was so vulnerable and comfortable that I got screamed at. But because this person was number one on a call sheet, there was no safety net for me. So no one had.
I think that Ryan Reynolds, Kate thinks Kate thinks he's super frenemy with me, or even just that he hates me. I could see him hating me. But I said on Hot Ones, I went on Hot Ones and I said that, what was great about Deadpool is they covered up his handsome face because he's so distracting. He must know this, but it's so distracting to look at him, and guys don't want to laugh at him.
Cameos as much as surprises. It's true. No, it's true. What happened?
Taylor Swift.
Who hurt you?
Oil.
I wish Taylor. If I ever stop, she'd make good Deadpool.
There has been a considerable amount of blowback with respect to the appearances of Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds at the SNL 50th year reunion.
And I think not just that they appeared there, but were involved in the show in a way where they were poking fun.
Ryan Reynolds has long been seen as one of Hollywood's most likable leading men, a witty, charismatic actor who seems to have it all. But according to whispers from industry insiders, not everyone's laughing at his jokes. Some say he has a secret side, one fueled by ego and controlling behavior that's driven away co-stars, alienated famous directors, and left many with an unsettling impression. Are we seeing the real Ryan Reynolds, or is there a darker story beneath the comedic facade? Rumors and confessions from those who've crossed paths with him hint at something more complex, something that's rarely discussed in the open. From abrupt encounters on live television to behind-the-scenes arguments on movie sets, the tales all share one central theme: Ryan's alleged insecurities and a determination to hold on to power at all costs. Let's look at the moments that made other celebrities speak out about the man known for his quick wit, but apparently not so quick empathy. For fans of Jersey Shore, Sammy Giancola, famously nicknamed Sammy Sweetheart, and her co-star Dina Cortese are known for speaking their mind. So when they were asked on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen to reveal the rudest celebrity they had ever encountered, the pair looked uncomfortable. Sammy tried to avoid naming names, while Dina blurted it out: Ryan Reynolds. Their story was brief, but telling. Dina hesitantly confessed Ryan wasn't great to us, and added that she loved both him and his wife, Blake Lively, but something about that encounter really put them off. The entire exchange suggested that the situation was awkward enough for them to remember, yet they also seemed worried about any backlash. Sammy attempted to give Ryan the benefit of the doubt, wondering if maybe it was just a bad day. It's a sentiment many fans have echoed, often defending Ryan with the idea that everyone is entitled to an off moment. But these two reality stars aren't the only ones hinting that his behavior can go off the rails. Often actors gloss over these negative anecdotes to keep the peace in Tinseltown. So when celebrities become hesitant to reveal names, it's typically because that individual holds some sway. Sammy and Dina's reaction underscores that going after a powerful A-list star might come back to bite them, but their story merely scratches the surface. Another actress recounted a trauma so severe, it changed her entire perspective on set protocols, all while never mentioning the culprit's name directly. For fans of Jersey Shore, Sammy Giancola, famously nicknamed Sammy Sweetheart, and her co-star Dina Cortese are known for speaking their mind. So when they were asked on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen to reveal the rudest celebrity they had ever encountered, the pair looked uncomfortable. Sammy tried to avoid naming names, while Dina blurted it out: Ryan Reynolds. Their story was brief but telling. Dina hesitantly confessed Ryan wasn't great to us and added that she loved both him and his wife, Blake Lively. But something about that encounter really put them off. The entire exchange suggested that the situation was awkward enough for them to remember, yet they also seemed worried about any backlash. Sammy attempted to give Ryan the benefit of the doubt, wondering if maybe it was just a bad day. It's a sentiment many fans have echoed, often defending Ryan with the idea that everyone is entitled to an off moment. But these two reality stars aren't the only ones hinting that his behavior can go off the rails. Often actors gloss over these negative anecdotes to keep the peace in Tinseltown. So when celebrities become hesitant to reveal names, it's typically because that individual holds some sway. Sammy and Dina's reaction underscores that going after a powerful A-list star might come back to bite them, but their story merely scratches the surface. Another actress recounted a trauma so severe it changed her entire perspective on set protocols, all while never mentioning the culprit's name directly. Rebecca Ferguson is known for her intense roles and confident on-screen presence, which is why her tale of being bullied on set comes as such a shock. In an interview, she revealed, "I did a film with an absolute idiot of a co-star. This human being was insecure and angry because they couldn't get their scenes right. The frustration," she explained, spiraled into shouting matches and threats, leaving her feeling unprotected in an environment typically brimming with handlers, producers, and assistants. Although she never named this so-called idiot, fans quickly started speculating. Rebecca starred in Life alongside Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal, which made the film a prime candidate for the drama she described. The movie featured a star-studded cast, so it was easy for the rumored offender to hold enough clout to scare everyone else into silence. No one came to her defense, and with the co-star being #1 on the call sheet, Rebecca had no backing or leverage. She described how she eventually confronted the person, telling them to get off my set, or at least allow her to act to the back of their head if they refused to be civil. The experience was so jarring that colleagues later warned her, "You know what you've done, right?" That ominous message suggested she was poking a bear, a very well-connected bear who didn't appreciate being challenged. While no official statements confirm that the actor in question was Ryan, fans have connected the dots, especially given more revelations that began to surface from that very same film's set. If you recall the press tour for Life, Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal seemed like Hollywood's new comedic duo. They appeared in countless interviews, poking fun at each other and playing off each other's witty banter. At one point, people speculated these two might even collaborate on more comedic or action-driven projects in the future. Their chemistry felt authentic until it didn't. Sometime after the movie's release, fans noticed something off between them. Interviews became scarce. Jake, who was once all smiles when talking about Ryan, suddenly grew vague and distant if the subject ever came up. During one sit-down, the interviewer jokingly asked about their feud. Jake's reaction was telling. He admitted, "There was a time we were," before trailing off. When pressed for any parting words for Ryan, Jake responded with an icy expression and no further comment. Speculation soared. Had there been a private dispute? Was it related to Ryan's alleged controlling nature on set? The tension was evident. Jake's abrupt "I have nothing to say to him" left fans reeling, especially because not too long before, the two had been chummy enough to appear on social media joking around like old buddies. The silence that followed only fueled rumors. And it wouldn't be the last time someone from Deadpool's orbit or the live cast would speak out. The character of Weasel in Deadpool was meant to be a comedic sidekick, and actor TJ Miller initially loved the role. But in an interview, he revealed that he'd never return for Deadpool 3, not even if the studio doubled his pay. The reason? Ryan Reynolds, who Miller claimed was horrifically mean to him under the guise of staying in character. On paper, it might sound like typical method acting, but Miller insisted there was something far more personal in Ryan's remarks. Miller recounted a disturbing moment. Ryan, as Deadpool, turned to him and said, "You're not the star. You're just the guy who's here to spout a few jokes. Then step aside so we can get back to the real movie." TJ described it as a direct swipe at his career, an attempt to diminish him in front of the entire crew. He emphasized that he's also a comedian, so he understands humor and sarcasm. Yet in that instance, Ryan's delivery felt too targeted to be a simple joke. Morena Baccarin's story, meanwhile, largely played out beyond official interviews. She was a significant presence in Deadpool, then drastically reduced in promotions and press events for the sequel and any future spin-offs. Rumors swirled that she and Ryan clashed over creative differences or perhaps comedic bits that crossed her boundaries. Regardless of the specifics, she was conspicuously absent in photos featuring the rest of the cast, prompting speculation that she'd faced a fate similar to Rebecca Ferguson. If you cross Ryan, you get sidelined. These alleged conflicts painted a worrying portrait of an actor who might be feeling deeply insecure or just fiercely protective of his stardom, and the next story only reinforced those suspicions. The success of the first Deadpool film was monumental, surprising critics and scoring big at the box office. Director Tim Miller was instrumental in bringing the unconventional superhero to life. Yet, when it came time to helm Deadpool 2, Miller abruptly bowed out. Official statements cited creative differences, a vague term that usually hides deeper chaos. Tim was more candid later, explaining he couldn't operate under the condition that Ryan had final say on every choice. Script revisions, casting decisions, and comedic tone. Ryan's star power and involvement in marketing gave him significant sway with the studio, effectively making him co-director by default. Tim felt that every debate turned into a battle he couldn't win, so he opted to walk away rather than continue to butt heads. His departure was a jolt for fans, but for those who had followed the rumored conflicts with co-stars, it lined up perfectly. An actor who wants full creative control, insists on his comedic brand, and stifles anyone who won't bend. Combine this with behind-the-scenes tension that had been reported on the Deadpool set, and you see a pattern, one that also plays out in Ryan's personal life, where issues of control allegedly caused chaos and heartbreak. Before Ryan ever tied the knot with Scarlett Johansson, or later Blake Lively, he was engaged to singer Alanis Morissette. Their relationship was the talk of the early 2000s, and they seemed on a solid path toward marriage. However, in 2007, they split, leaving Alanis devastated. She channeled that heartbreak into her album Flavors of Entanglement, with lyrics implying raw pain, betrayal, and a partner's insecurity. One line strongly hinted at feelings of being torn down. "I'm unbelievably insecure." Alanis never flat out said it was about Ryan, but fans and tabloids pieced together the timeline. She spoke about feeling broken and devastated by the breakup, fueling theories that emotional turbulence and controlling behavior may have driven them apart. Then came Ryan's marriage to Scarlett Johansson in 2008. Though both were at the height of their careers, Scarlett's star was particularly bright, landing Marvel roles and building up a massive fan base. In interviews post-divorce, Scarlett made pointed remarks about jealous partners who become passive-aggressively insecure. She described controlling behavior as awful and insisted that a successful marriage requires trusting your partner's achievements, something she implied she didn't get from Ryan. She said it was hard when two people's careers are going at the same rate, and if one is more successful, it could spark competition. For her, it became too much. Their eventual split left fans stunned, but it didn't come as a surprise to those who'd been reading between the lines. Whether it was Alanis's heartbreaking music or Scarlett's references to controlling spouses, the theme of Ryan's possible insecurity emerged yet again. And it doesn't end with Old Flame. Even some of Hollywood's most respected directors have publicly criticized him, taking jabs at the quality and validity of his work. When an iconic filmmaker like Quentin Tarantino weighs in, people listen. He didn't mince words while discussing big-budget streaming projects, claiming some are forgettable cash grabs. Tarantino singled out Ryan Reynolds' Netflix deals, saying he's heard Ryan earns a whopping $50 million per film. Yet Tarantino had no idea what those movies even were, and had never watched them. It wasn't just a casual ignorance, it sounded like a biting critique, implying these projects lack artistic substance. Then there's Chris Columbus, the director of beloved classics like Home Alone. When he discovered Ryan Reynolds wanted to produce a reboot called Stoned Alone, a dark comedy twist on the original premise, Chris considered it an insult to the art of cinema. He labeled the very concept disrespectful, dismissing the entire idea as silly. For him, rebooting such a cherished family film in an R-rated cannabis-fueled version epitomized everything wrong with Hollywood's scramble for rehashing old hits, especially if Ryan planned to lean into crude jokes, overshadowing the charm of the classic. Another Hollywood star took a blatant shot at Ryan's filmography. Gerard Butler had his own run-in with a reporter who drew parallels between his film, Gamer, and Ryan's Free Guy. Both movies revolve around characters embroiled in life-or-death video game worlds. But when someone asked Gerard for his thoughts on Free Guy, he replied that he didn't even know what that is. After being told it was Ryan Reynolds' movie, he shrugged and made it clear he wasn't interested in watching it. Given that both films share similar themes, you might expect a little professional courtesy. Actors often compliment each other's work, especially when it's in the same genre. But Gerard's dismissive tone almost sounded like a deliberate jab, suggesting either he'd heard things about Ryan or simply found Ryan's projects to be shallow. Perhaps it was a way to say, I want no part of that style of movie or that brand of humor. Little by little, a pattern emerges. These celebrities, some comedic peers, some co-stars, some ex-directors, are dropping subtle and not so subtle hints that Ryan Reynolds' public persona doesn't align with the private man on set. After hearing so many stories, it's tough to believe each one is an isolated misunderstanding. Instead, they seem like pieces of a puzzle, revealing a man who wants absolute control, bristles when overshadowed, and can wield enough influence to make people think twice about speaking his name. Ryan Reynolds shot to stardom on the back of his clever one-liners, comedic flair, and an image that made him appear the perfect blend of approachable and sharp-witted. Yet these behind-the-scenes accounts point to a more complicated reality, from Sammy Giancola and Dina Cortese's awkward run-in to Rebecca Ferguson's alarming story, from Jake Gyllenhaal's complete brush-off to TJ Miller's vow never to work with him again. The allegations form a damning portrait of someone who may feel threatened by anyone who challenges his domain. Directors like Tim Miller found themselves squeezed out of creative decisions, while romantic partners like Scarlett Johansson and Alanis Morissette describe controlling or insecure behavior that ultimately torpedoed their relationships. Add public criticism from respected names like Quentin Tarantino, Chris Columbus, and Gerard Butler, and you're left with a stark contradiction to the lovable comedic persona we see on late-night talk shows. So how do we reconcile these two versions of Ryan Reynolds? Is he the playful prankster entertaining his millions of fans, or a Hollywood power player bent on having it all his way? The truth likely lies somewhere in between, but it's clear that where there's smoke, there's usually fire. Perhaps the biggest question is whether his carefully honed public image will remain intact, or if these rumblings will eventually be too loud to ignore. Let us know your take. After hearing all these stories, do you think Ryan Reynolds is misunderstood, or simply skilled at hiding who he really is?